Okay, so Limbo. Someone requested this recently, and I wasn't planning to make it. Until someone said something about Limbo, and yeah, I basically just wanted to prove them wrong. I've used Limbo a lot before. He's one of my favorite warframes, and I think he's one of the more underappreciated warframes in the game. By a long shot as well. I think he definitely has some strong niches, even outside of Void Cascade. And yeah, I think people just overlook him because he's the only character with like any complexity in this game. Um, but yeah, Limbo, very very good. With the way the old piece helped him out, he is a lot better. With the Nullifier changes, I believe that was old piece. That might have been the Oberon rework update. I'm not sure. But yeah, the way they changed nullifiers to not just destroy his 4 made him playable versus his versus Corpus. Um, so it's nice, but it's still kind of annoying. I think the counterplay for it would be just run higher range than I did if you're running specifically versus Corpus. Um, but this build I made specifically so I could just work versus everyone. You kind of just have to deal with it versus Corpus. It is annoying. Versus Grenier, it's significantly easier, I promise you. um, but yeah, with the way Nullifiers interact with the 4 now, it's a lot more usable versus Corpus. It's a lot nicer on the occasional Nullifier in Fissures. Um, and you still have all the benefits of like Rift Torrent and stuff like that, so yeah. The Nullifier change helped him quite a bit. But even before, the last time I played him often was before that update, so I really haven't had much practice with this version of him. And he is better, but even before then, I think he was pretty good. You can easily run him subsumeless, to be honest. Especially with the Rift Horn augment, running the banish isn't really as not that bad. The only issue it has is that like Fraxes get like adaptation to the rift, so sometimes you'll press one on them and they just like will either stay in the rift or never go into it if you banish them too many times. So it's kind of annoying to keep track of sometimes, especially since his like I want to say Limbo's main thing is that he's like he just suffers from like a bit of old age. His effects could use a touch up. Like whether it's visually or audibly, but I think they could use a touch up, especially with like stuff like Rift Torrent being important to him. I think it would be very beneficial to uh, get that updated. But yeah, you can run him with Banish. I chose the Subsume. With the stat line that I'm using here, you can really run a lot of Subsumes. Like on the build that I was running a long time ago, I was using Breach Surge. Breach Surge is quite fun on him. Because Rift Torrent is multiplicative damage buffing to glaives, like the glaive explosion, so Zora's Falcor, stuff like that, and Zors. So if you pair that with Breach Surge, you get insane trash clear, because obviously every time you hit something, you're going to have like a 2000% buff if you keep pressing your 4 often. That's multiplicative to your explosions, so it's going to do a lot of damage. Breach Surge alone is just going to like it's gonna blind the annoying enemies. It's gonna trash layer like even easier for you. But yeah, this time I chose to use Nourish. I really wanted to make it like really quite sustainable, so I chose Nourish with Energy Nexus. With how little you have to spam abilities on him, it's very viable. Like as long as you keep up with Trash Clear and just make sure Nourish is always up, you're never gonna run out of energy. That's just the benefit of a high strength Nourish with Energy Nexus. But yeah, his free also very good. It's the thing that gives you the damage buff. Despite it being additive, since the percent that you get is so high, it's noticeable how much strength you get on whatever weapon you're buffing. And then obviously the 2, you put enemies in stasis, whilst they're in the rift, so they just can't interact with you. It's a very nice combo. The only thing I'd really recommend getting into the groove of is pressing 2 before you press 4. It will mean that when you press 2, you'll have your status active, and then when you press 4, they'll all be status immediately. It's just that little bit safer, more consistent. It's just something you get used to over time. Yeah, using his rolls is very nice. You can basically just avoid operator, like being vulnerable in operator with any ability that you want by using his roll. You can run raw if you want, because the strength is really quite high. Like, I think on my build it was like 214%, I think. Oh, I can't remember which one I did, but it's in the 200s, so even without precision intensify, it's going to be buffing you for like 60% probably. It's a nice roll buff. If you want to do Zartas, you can run Zartas. But yeah, just roll before an exo, or when you're traveling between exos so nobody can interact with you and slow you down. It's very, very nice. The 4, you're always going to be using to force Fraxes into the rift, and then obviously get your buffing for your free, and then putting enemies into stasis. The trade-off that you're going to be taking a lot of the time is using a lot of mod space for range and duration to keep the rift torrent up as active as possible, and same with the 4. But then obviously you'll be sacrificing strength, so you got to find your balance. But I think the balance that I found here is pretty useful in solo. It'll work in squads as well. It's just another downside of Limbo is that he's difficult to play in squads. A lot of people don't like playing around his abilities, so it's not that I'm blaming them, but it's just like, you know, a lot of people won't appreciate you being on Limbo, and I can tell you that from my personal experience. But yeah, I think this is a very nice sweet spot. If you really want, you can go like max range and just like for the entire map. You can really just sit there AFK, press stasis, use Nourish for energy, and just kill the Overguard enemies. But yeah, he's very strong with glaives and Zors, because the multiplicative damage buff is insane. I just chose to do something different because that's basically what I've been playing him for most of my playtime on Limbo. I chose to just get the Nami solo because it's quite strong, and I wanted to test it out. And it also likes having Nourish, so I thought it'd be a nice pairing, and yeah, it worked out really well. I chose Arcane Strike because you're going to be getting base damage from either your free, or in my case the Riven, or both. I show what I would put in for the Rivens in the video with the builds, so if you don't have a Riven, these builds will also work. It will just be like slightly less effective, but it all should really work. Like my burst one doesn't have a Riven. I only used my dual tox to like res myself a couple of times, and yeah, it's very, very strong. I think Limbo has a really strong niche in Void Cascade. He's gonna like thrive in those situations where you need to stay alive but also stay on top of things like objectives, because obviously he has ways to just completely ignore certain things and remove obstacles that he gets placed for him. Like a lot of times warframes will struggle to stay alive and open objectives. He can literally just single them out, like, oh, I'll open objectives now, I'll bother staying, like I'll bother trashing him now. It's very, very simple. I think Limbo, if you enjoy playing him or have an idea of how he works beforehand, I think he's like that middle of the road warframe where you get to learn the game mode, but then also learn how to play slightly more like thought process heavy characters. But even then, I would definitely suggest him to everyone. He's really fun in my opinion. Once you get the hang of his hang of his kit, and stuff like that, he's very, very enjoyable. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say. I was planning to make a little bit of a longer guide, but it's just, I honestly, I don't feel it's very necessary, because I think if people just put in a little bit of time with him, they would get him pretty quickly. I understand there's some downsides of playing him, like problems with killing Fraxes in and out of the rift, like at the Frax Ghosts. Playing him in squads is difficult. Nullifiers are always going to be annoying and stuff like that, but every warframe will have downsides, maybe except like Hildren. So, you know, if you like him, you like him. If you don't, I understand. But I think he's in a very, very good spot right now. I don't think he needs any sort of touching. Maybe some quality of life changes. Just that would just be like counteracting how old he is. But apart from that, I think he's great. I hope you enjoy the builds. Hope you enjoy the gameplay. My schedule's a bit messed up right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. It'll either be like Protea or Nyx, maybe Zephyr even. Yeah. Thank you.